I'm Lori Duchek, Information Officer with the Regional Emergency Operations Center. This is the July 27th update. We're filming this just before 10 a.m. and we're talking today about the Lladnar Creek Wildfire. I'm joined by Incident Commander Daniel Klein, and really what we want to talk about first off is just maybe you can give us a recap of the past 24 hours on this fire.
Yeah, past 24 hours, so kind of continuing to grow as expected. So just for a quick orientation now that we're working off a map, I know we've just been speaking verbally for the last couple of days. So Sparwood here to the east of the incident, Lladnar Creek coming up the west side of the incident. This is a pretty prominent ridge that the fire is burning on, and then Cummings Creek to the north side of Sparwood that moves kind of east-west to the north side of the incident. So Fernie down south, Elkford up north. So as expected, the fire is still remaining mostly ridgetop, but every day more of it is falling down slope towards the transmission lines that follow at the bottom of the slope, kind of between Fire's Edge and the Elk River. So as this fire falls down to the hydro line, that's where we've had equipment and machines working to reopen and bolster the hydro access roads there and make sure that there's a really good machine guard at the base of the slope where it's safe for crews to be working. That equipment has reopened these roads all the way down to almost Lladnar Creek at this point to the south, and they are working on making sure that those roads or machine lines are also opened up all the way above Sparwood Heights, tying into Cummings Creek. So we will have kind of a control line at the base of the slope all the way from Cummings Creek all the way down south to Lladnar Creek that crews are going to be working off of. And as this fire kind of spills down slope, we'll be looking to kind of catch it on that control line.
And I think for people who are maybe just joining us, one of the things that's a challenge in these types of fires, but is expected, is because it's so steep that you do have to let it come down. But as the public sees that visually, it's very prominent. Maybe you can just reiterate that that is something that is part of the management that you're looking at on this fire in terms of allowing it to come down.
Yeah, for sure. It's not safe, it's not accessible, it's too steep. There's too much rolling debris, rockfall for us to consider working this fire anywhere other than at the base of the slope where we have road systems, where the slope kind of lessens a little bit, and we can have a good heads up of what's happening above us. Really, it's the only place that we can manage this fire. So people can expect, if they're looking up at the fire, likely what they're seeing is rank 1, rank 2 fire with pockets of rank 3, and it's going to fall down towards the base of the slope, down in fingers and little ravines and gullies. Those steep gullies are what catch debris. They tend to have larger amounts of fuel accumulation in them. So the fire is going to kind of fall down those gullies, and we have what we'll see is start these kind of steep fingers that come down to the machine guard at the bottom. As those fingers come down and get close to the guard where crews are working, crews are going to start doing some small scale planned ignitions to tie those fingers to the guard, and then that's just going to start expanding. So as the fire moves down to the guard, crews will start just burning and creating that control line along the whole base of the slope, and that's just going to be that slow continuous process that we're in to safely manage the incident above Sparwood and try and get it away from the community.
Super. One of the things that I know was mentioned on the BC Wildfire of Note page was talking about wetlining, and a lot of people don't know what that means and what that terminology refers to. Maybe you could just provide us with a bit of an overview of what that tactic is.
Yeah, a wetline is essentially that's our word for when crews are working off control lines and we have fire that's come to those control lines. We bolster that with a wet line. So that's crews on the end of hose, and they're essentially making sure with water that they've cooled down the edge of the fire, that essentially there's no more burning, and it's fully extinguished. And so typically that will be from about 0 to 50 feet off the perimeter that crews will push in and put water on the fire. That's one strategy. We don't employ it all the time. It depends on the terrain, it depends on the fire. We really need to be sure that if we have crews in there at the bottom that are on hoses, and that increases exposure for us if we have people that are permanently there. So we will be doing wet lining in areas where it's safe to do so, where we have areas of concern. But with the risk of rock fall and debris fall, we really want to make sure that we're limiting the exposure to workers at the bottom. So wet lining is one technique for bolstering essentially the perimeter of the fire, but it's not the only technique.
Super. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, just because people within Sparwood may be seeing fire trucks from other districts coming around, they may be seeing people kind of in and about the community. Structure protection personnel are doing assessments right now. That's something that is part of the work that's going on this fire. Maybe you can just speak to some of those resources that are in place.
Yeah, so we have more structure protection personnel that are going to be in Sparwood today. Those numbers should be up to about 45 to 50 personnel, a mix of structure defense, which is our type 1 engines, so the classic fire trucks that they'll see in the community. And then we'll also have structure protection staff who are going around looking at where to put sprinklers, where to kind of fire smart homes, all that kind of stuff. So they're working together. There's about 50 of them that will be out there today. The community should expect to see a lot of trucks and a lot of those personnel. And the focus is going to be in this Sparwood Heights area, making sure that there's a good defense strategy there, making sure that there's good structural protection, and that there's a plan in place for as this fire moves north and starts to kind of come down to our control lines here, that we're really prepared for that and that we're really protecting the value in the community. And just pre-planning for if we get unexpected winds and unexpected weather events that could cause this thing to move down slope quicker than anticipated.
So looking ahead to today, I know you've touched on a few of them, but the priority for the next operational period, what's the focus going to be?
Yeah, priority is making sure that the structural protection plans are in place and ready to be executed on. So mobilizing a lot of structural protection into that community. Just given the proximity to the fire and the kind of immediate potential impacts there. And then the priority for BCWS, firefighting personnel, is to be making sure that this equipment line, so assisting in equipment operations, making sure that priority areas along that line are plumbed with hose, and then monitoring this progression as it comes down to the guard and doing some small scale planned ignitions to really control that as it comes down to the guard. So that is the main focus. They will be assisted by aviation. We'll probably have 1 to 2 helicopters there throughout the day that are putting water on fire's edge, just slowing the growth of the fire, giving the crews more time to get established and prepared. And also just increasing the relative humidity of this fuel of the green fuels in front of the fire, so that we're just kind of slowing it down as it comes down slope.
Perfect. Is there anything else you wanted to add, either operationally or in any other aspects of the fire?
No, just a piece on alerts. We are constantly monitoring alerts. I know that there is a lot of concern in the community. We put alerts on based on predicted fire growth, fire behavior, weather that's incoming. We don't take that lightly. We are forecasting that, and we will put alerts on as we deem it necessary based on how we see this interacting with the fuels and the weather. So we'll continue to monitor that daily, and just wanting people to know that is a top priority for us and that we're thinking about that every day.
Super, and I think that's a big message too, that currently there are evacuation alerts in place for this fire. You can get the map and a list of the properties at bcwildfire.ca, but certainly if there are people in the community that are feeling uncomfortable, or if you're feeling uncertain as you see a very visual fire, you don't have to be on alert to be prepared. And I think if you're feeling that you want to have that preparedness, that's an awesome thing to do. So it's a good message for anyone, not just in Sparwood, but anywhere in the East Kootenay right now with the conditions, is having that time right now to be prepared, and then just to follow the advice and guidance that's being given by BC Wildfire Service and some of the other resources, the District of Sparwood, the Regional Emergency Operations Center. The information's there. We're here to support people and answer your questions. So I'd like to thank you for your time today, and thank you for watching. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.